Hello and welcome to NoCB, a grand strategy podcast coming to you, as Rose just mentioned, if you're watching us live on the 11th of November, 2020. That'd be Armistice Day in most of the world, Veterans Day here in the U.S., Remembrance Day in the Commonwealth. And Rose, you actually pointed out that it's also a South Korean holiday I've never heard about before.
Pepero Day. It's a holiday where you are supposed to buy your sweetheart pepero, which is basically Pocky. If you know what Pocky is in Japan, pepero is the Korean version. Both are sold by Lotte, I think. Just one's Korean Lotte, one's Japanese Lotte.
Somewhat less somber in Korea, I suppose.
Yes, but then Korea was not really part of World War One.
That's true. Yeah, that's... Dodged a bullet on that one. That was a little bit of a dust up. Yeah. Well, we have quite a bit of news to go through today. Some pretty big announcements for a few of the main games we talk about. But I also forgot to introduce the panel. I'm Leanna Hafer, and with me, as always, is our panel, including Rose.
Hey there.
Including Lambert.
Hello there.
And including Father Loris.
What's up?
I think that's the first time I've ever forgotten that part of the show. So
it's because you're still recovering from the wormhole you were lost in last week.
It's either always you're stuck in a wormhole or chasing a horse. Those are the two excuses. That,
no. See, you get lost in wormholes, and then Father Loris and Lambert, they end up chasing horses.
Okay. So
it's a British thing. And yes, I'm really counting Welsh as part of Britain at the moment.
Of course you would. Why wouldn't you?
I mean,
on the island.
I live in a state with a lot of horses, so I could just as easily end up the same way. But I guess my absences are being attributed more to cosmology than zoology. So that's like impossible to segue into anything, but humankind introduced a new culture for the industrial era. It is the Siamese.
And possibly the coolest unit that has been introduced so far. Gatling elephants.
Wait, speaking of zoology, Gatling elephants.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's just a cool name already, right? I mean, you can't beat a Gatling elephant of all things.
I did not know that they...
to interject real quick. It's suddenly pouring down rain, and if there's I don't hear any thunder or lightning, but if the stream suddenly dies, something has happened here in New York. So just throwing that out.
If the stream dies, I will try and get it back up ASAP.
Okay. Just everybody hope
let's look at the Gatling
Rose does not get knocked out by a storm surge. Yeah. I mean that's just cool. If you're gonna put a machine gun on the back of an elephant, that's it's pretty rad. It's pretty rad. Gotta say.
Was it Siam that you were fighting when you had to defend London?
Yes.
Which elephants was it there?
It was the no? Oh gosh. Who was it? Let's see. Humankind eras.
'Cause I do remember having to fight elephants. I just don't think it was a Gatling elephant.
There was the Khmer.
Khmer, all right.
I think you would remember it if it were a Gatling elephant.
No, they were
it was an elephant with a crossbow on the top.
So
it's like you're just upgrading the
bad.
gun.
It was just as freaking bad. It was they were horrible.
Absolutely. And the fact that they could garrison towers was just, elephant on top of a tower. Love it.
Well, no, they pulled the crossbow off of the elephant and then put it on top of the tower.
It didn't look like it. It looked like the elephant was standing up there.
Hannibal had Gatling elephants when they died on the Alps. Didn't we establish that they didn't die in the Alps?
We established that all of the elephants lived.
Only to die very quickly after the crossing.
Wait, no, the Gatling elephants died. The other elephants lived. There we go.
What a stroke of misfortune for Hannibal that only the Gatling elephants died. He could have.
Yeah, so You've got your African elephant, you've got your Indian elephant, and we've got the new breed here that actually just, it went extinct in the Alps. The Gatling elephant.
There you go. Yeah.
It comes with a pre-packaged gun on the back. It's just included as standard.
So if I'm counting correctly, this is the last industrial civ. Right?
No,
I think we're at 10.
I think it's
Let's
like
go up
9.
to 12.
Let's scroll back and see. So
I think we did this last week as well.
yeah, so Austro-Hungarians is one. We had
the British, the
are
French,
2.
the Germans, the Italians, the Mexicans, the Persians, the Russians, Siamese.
I lost count when you started talking fast, so I hope that you were counting.
That's 8 of them. It's 8, and then the Siamese is 9.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we established last week that we had 2 left.
Okay, so there's still one more to go. This is the only Asian one so far, I think, from the industrial era. So
Yeah.
that
makes sense.
I feel like industrial Japan makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meiji
Yeah.
era Japan. But also Siam makes sense because this is a point where Siam became a thing, basically.
right. And, they were one of the only countries to never be colonized by a European power in an area where the European powers were going around colonizing everything that hadn't been colonized yet. So,
Yeah, it was
And
pretty
if someone who doesn't really know history or modern geography is wondering where Siam went, it's now essentially Thailand.
yeah. More or less.
More or
So-
less, essentially.
Right.
There's-
Geopolitics, yay.
yeah. It's that part of the world. It's that peninsula.
Yeah. I'm
It's
still
Ayutthaya.
yes. Exactly. At this point, I'm not like super hopeful that they'll do this because they haven't been doing it yet for any of these, but I wish they would release the bonuses along with the announcements.
Well, they do occasionally say it on the Discord. They said it on this week's Discord that their floating market can be placed on lakes and coasts.
That's what I was wondering about. Interesting. So there'll be a really fun coastal civ, it sounds like, or coastal culture. Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Because like when I was going through the open dev scenario and like looking at all the bonuses for the classical era civs, which a lot of them we hadn't seen before, I was like, oh, okay. Now I'm starting to get an idea of the kind of design space that they're working with these unique units and unique or emblematic units and emblematic quarters. So yeah. Any guesses on what the last one for the industrial era is going to be?
If we don't get an African civ, then I think Japan.
Let's see, I'm sure
I
we'll
think
get
it'd be-
Japan for the modern era. So
I don't know. I think modern era, they'll probably go China.
yeah, not both.
They have said the People's Republic of China is going to be in the game. So yeah, I'm assuming at this point that that's going to be.
Mhm.
I think they're calling it the contemporary era now, but yeah, I think it's going to be, especially after Siam was announced. I think it's probably going to be Ethiopia, unless they're saving that one for contemporary, because Ethiopia was the only other country that came out of this era without being colonized by a European power. And as Lambert pointed out, we don't have an African one yet. So
Ethiopia would probably be a good guess. Yeah.
yeah. So they were a little bit more of a. Oh, sorry, I've got a echo going on because I just pulled up the moderator tab, which I didn't have open.
And I wouldn't.
Yeah,
think
they're
it would
a
be
little-
America because I imagine that would be contemporary too. I imagine.
Yeah. We will. We'll see.
USA, Brazil, USSR, China.
I still think they're going to go EU.
It could be. I don't know.
I
'Cause
can't
it's
quite see them doing that. Maybe Germany?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably get the German Reich as sort of like as a.
I don't think they'll do the
World
same
War
culture
II
twice in like 2 eras. You know.
No.
They've done that before though, because they had like the English and then the British,
But not
and
in
then
a
the Franks
row.
and the French.
They skip some. Because
Yeah,
the
English
English
was medieval, and then British was industrial.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot in between, but Germans are in the industrial era here. And it's like, what culture do you really? If you've got the French, the Germans, and the British all in the industrial era, where do you go from there? Because if you're playing you want to keep your culture somewhat like in the same region all the time, and you're not like, oh, I'll just take a spot of Asia, and I'll take a little bit of South Africa, take a little bit of North America, all these kind of like jumping your culture around all over the place, which I don't really want to do. So you want to sort of keep it in Europe if you're going with a European progression. Like, where do you go if you've got Germans, French, and British already locked off?
Croatia.
Let's just put New Zealand in.
But the superpower of the modern world, Croatia. That's my
I
final
think it just
answer.
makes sense for them to go into EU.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that would be. When was the EU actually formally created? Was it the 40s, 50s?
No, 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's even that recent.
The predecessor would be the coal.
Something
European
and coal.
coal and steel
the
community.
early one had coal, economic and coal. Yeah, it had coal in it. You should know.
Yeah, so I do know. It's the European coal and steel community. That's why Britain didn't
and then
join.
the EEC, and then it changed into the EU in like 94, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll go that far forward in time or not, but
93. I was like 2 months off.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Yeah. Well,
I just think it makes the most sense.
Yeah, it's why the UK didn't join, because it was a European coal and steel community, and
okay,
British miners were against it because it would.
That's why I was confused. At some point, I thought we had 2 eras left to go, but I guess we only have one.
Right.
That is until the DLC that brings us into the future.
Yeah. So you may be right. Yeah, you may be right. I don't know. If they're counting everything between World War I and now as a single era, then yeah, I guess that's a possibility.
If they do go with EU, what would be their unique unit and building?
The bureaucrats.
Yeah, I was going to say, just
probably not
intractable
wrong.
bureaucracy. Probably.
You're honestly probably not wrong.
I think like the US, it might be a submarine or a aircraft carrier, paratrooper. Probably.
It'll be an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, aircraft carrier would make the most sense for modern US, because that is kind of how we took over the world. I mean,
Yeah,
the
Nuclear missile.
That'd be like F1, right? F1 is like the classic.
Yeah. And then our unique,
Or Marine.
yeah, I mean, I feel like our unique extension would be something entertainment related. But yeah, we'll
The
see.
Hollywood sign. Each one of them that you build gives you another letter.
Yeah, you have to build all of the letters individually.
Taco Bell's unique building.
Yeah.
McDonald's honestly could be it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fast food restaurant. Yeah,
Fast food
probably.
restaurant, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, spreading, culture.
A mall.
I will say that you shouldn't think of the unique building as in like a single unique building that exists. Like, it should be something that is unique to the culture, but there's many of them.
Yeah,
The
that's
super-
why.
the-
That's what we've got
Superstore.
mostly.
Walmart's.
Yeah,
Fast food buildings or malls, I would say.
I've been inside of Costco that would probably cover at least one full hex on the humankind map. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
Like,
if
for
they
the
ever
French, they've
put
got the
s-
exhibition hall. Like, it's not a singular building. It's like there can be many exhibition halls.
yeah.
Ooh. Army base can be constructed in other nations' cities. I mean,
That would
With a
honestly be
treaty.
yeah.
you need a
because
treaty.
That would be really interesting.
Or-
yeah.
You put it in as, you defeat them in war, and that's one of your peace deal requirements.
Or you could make it so that like any nation that you have a military base in their borders, if anyone declares war on them, they also are declaring war on you at the same time, which would create an interesting incentive and very accurately model sort of the soft power world domination thing that we have going on.
Could be something spy related, like, intelligence agency or something.
And of course, Rosebud is telling us the real secrets, but we can't understand him yet.
Yeah. Rosebud already knows all of this. Like,
but we've already had an episode called Rosebud Breaks Embargo.
Right,
Can't do it twice.
Rosebud actually knows the actual release date for Victoria 3, so...
Grow up, kid. We need to know these things.
Yeah. Geez, I'm really failing hard on the transitions this week, but
I mean, we were talking about, softly taking over the world. What if you want to use a little more force when taking over the world?
Yeah. This is my favorite Imperator Rome dev diary since... Jeez, I'm trying to think how far back I would have to go to find another Imperator dev diary.
During Cicero, and it wouldn't have been a dev diary. It would have been Johann's fevered teasing. It's like he had like 3 or 4 dev diary-like posts in a week. That's gonna be my favorite period. And then this is up there with it. Yeah.
No, this is fantastic. This is just like, I've said, some of the recent changes I was not that excited about. This is a change that I am extremely excited about. Imperator's moving to a levy system. By default, you will levy individual governorships, I believe, and then those troops go to the command of the actual governor, which is going to make it more interesting in terms of not being able to like randomly fire people. Then there's also going to be legions, which are like a later game thing where you can have standing armies. See, it sounds kind of like retinues in CK2. But the line I got the most excited about is that any pop that is part of a levy will stop contributing to the economy until the levy is disbanded. And pops can actually die if their levies die. So
if you stack wipe them.
For the first time in a PDS game, including Crusader Kings, which has had levies since 2012, we're going to actually see modeled the constant struggle that most agrarian, pre-modern, pre-industrial civilizations faced, which is that when you send all the men off to war, or all the men and some of the women, depending on what culture we're talking about, you don't have as many people to farm. You don't have as many people to do manufacturing. Like, it's actually something you have to consider. I mean, Hearts of Iron kind of does that with its conscription laws. And
Vicky does, I guess, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Vicky, I keep forgetting all the cool stuff Vicky did that they just haven't ever tried again.
We need to do a podcast episode where it's like, what do you want for Vicky 3?
Yes, we will do that. Someone on Twitter asked about that, and it's like, yes, that is definitely a show topic that we should do at some point.
But that would mean I'd actually have to play Vicky too, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, you do have to play it. It's really good.
It is really good.
Yeah, or you can just go rewatch a playthrough of Vicky 2. There's some really good ones out there.
Yeah.
I guess, Lambert, you're normally the one to gush about Imperator, but this week I was really excited to gush about Imperator. What are your feelings on this?
I am excited to hear other people excited about Imperator.
Yeah.
It's quite lonely sometimes being a fan of this game. It's nice to not be alone.
Did I miss anything? Was there anything that really stuck out to you here?
I just want to say, I think from what we can see of the levy system right now, I've got to say I think it's better than CK3's levy system by a lot, like a lot. I'm totally down for it. I think it's really nice that, like as you said, like when you are raising your levy, they'll stop contributing to the economy. It's it's the same kind of effect, but the complete opposite direction from the usual system where you raise an army and you have to pay maintenance on them. It's like coming at it from the other angle. So what we're probably going to see is countries having this really wild swing between abundance and poverty, because when you're not at war, all your pops are working, you're making a lot of money, and you're making more money than you would have been pre 2.0, because you don't have to pay for your army, because there isn't one yet. So you're going to have more money, but then as soon as you go to war, you're going to be like completely destitute, because all of the pops that were contributing to the economy no longer are. And I think it's such an interesting kind of system, and how it's going to work out is just awesome.
It's also
like, it's not just your economy either as well. Like there's trade to come into consideration. Are you going to lose trade routes because the nobles are no longer contributing to trade routes? You're going to lose your research. Like there's a lot that comes into this, and I'm so excited for it.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Did they mention at all if slaves get pulled? Your slave pops, or is it just like your citizen pops?
They said it's only non-slaves contribute to levies. So I guess you'll still have a baseline economy.
Yeah, but it's not going to be nearly as much, because while slaves do help out with your taxes, come mid-game trade, especially with the new system where you can automate trade is worth more to an economy than taxes are. You're still going to be tanking like half your economy in a total war scenario.
Right. Is Rosebud playing the drums on your microphone or something?
He was playing the drums on the keyboard. He woke up from his nap.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say there's
very energetic.
There's some kind of percussion happening. I assumed that was probably what that was.
He was beating the drums of war along with Lambert's discussion on it.
Appropriately enough, yeah. Providing the score to the podcast as well. Yeah, the rest of us could pretty much just leave because we're unnecessary. Yeah,
it's the NoCB theme song.
Yeah. So levies are going to vary in their unit composition based on what culture you pull them from, which is very cool. Which kind of creates new incentives to
go to path.
Integrate rather than convert cultures if you want specific kinds of levies, which is you want that Numidian cavalry, I'll make all the Numidians into freemen, and it'll upset everybody in Rome, but we need the Numidian cavalry. So
we've known for a while that this patch has been like described as the season of war, the autumn of war. I think with all of the dev diaries we've had so far, this is the first one to be like, this is why it's called the autumn of war, and it knocked it out of the park. And it's like, yeah, no, you deserve to be called 2.0. You deserve to be called the season of war. This is enough to warrant that. I don't think the UI change alone was enough to warrant, a 2.0 label. This is.
Yeah.
This is game changing.
It's not just a military change. It's a change to the economy, which is, I don't know if it'll solve the late game issues it potentially could solve some of them if the challenge of it continuing to expand your empire is, as they sort of suggest in the dev diary, if you have all these outlying areas that aren't your culture and you can't integrate them, you can't raise levies there. So you need to rely on legions more, which maybe requires you to rely on powerful individual generals more, which maybe leads to, a Caesar situation. We'll see how that ends up playing out. But yeah, this is cool stuff. This is like, I was going to give Imperator another try when 2.0 comes out. Now this is like, okay, now I'm just counting the days until 2.0 comes out.
Also, we learned that there's going to be permanent armies as well. Like, they're not going away. We haven't got much information on them yet, other than that they're called legions. And I think the most cool part about the legions is that tribes don't get them. So they're going to fundamentally play differently based on that, and also based on the way that the levies are raised. Because there won't be the retinues anymore, which is the way that tribes are unique now. Now it's going to be all of the tribal leaders in your nation rise up their own levies when you raise your levies, and they have a big boost to their power base, which you're going to have to manage. When you lower the levies afterwards, all those that big boost coming from loyal cohorts to that commander turn into veterans, and the loyalty doesn't go away, the power base doesn't go away. So the more you're fighting as a tribe, the more powerful you're making your tribal chieftains, and at a certain point, that's gonna blow over, and you're gonna have a big problem to worry about. Tribes are gonna play so differently.
They are, and I hated clan retinues, like just the way they work in general. I've never liked it, so I'm very glad they're going away. This seems also messy and potentially bad in a different way, but I'm not going to make any judgments about it before I actually play it. I still think tribes have a long way to go. And this seems like more of a Band-Aid fix to me than we're actually making tribes good. But I will keep the faith that we'll get our big tribal update sooner or later. Yeah. Getting rid of clan retinues is a good thing, regardless.
Yeah. Especially
Just-
clan retinues from a culture that can take, or not a culture, but for anyone who has a single elephant province and is a tribe, screw you and your 80 stack retinue elephant armies. Just disgusting.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Have experienced that in multiplayer.
Well, it's like Imperator 2.0 is going to be as big a change to the game as Stellaris 2.0 was.
Yeah, or Imperator 1.2.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Yeah.
as big as Cicero.
It seems like it, yeah. So
Do you know
Yeah,
what's also
looking
a
forward
big
to it.
change coming in? We're
what
getting a
would
ruler
that be?
designer in CK3.
We are.
Before
yeah.
Lambert gets his soldier designer in Imperator.
Yeah. So this is pretty in depth. I had some guesses about what the ruler designer in CK3 might end up looking like, and this is probably what I would have called like the most ambitious version of it that I would have imagined, where you actually have like sliders for all of the different like traits that are controlled by DNA, and you could actually like copy and paste DNA strings. I can tell why this took a while, because it seems like they really wanted to do it right.
Yeah,
The only thing that's sort of missing that I would love to see added in the future is the ability to design your own shield.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
important to me.
Yes, and from what they said in the dev diary and such is that programming that in right now would delay it quite a bit. And from what I think someone commented on my video about it, how they had modded in some heraldry, and all they could do was sort of add in a random. There is nothing in the base game coding to actually allow you to design something. So they're going to have to build something brand new for this if they do put that in.
So, because I know you can modify historical coats of arms in, by modding. It's not like user friendly by any stretch of the imagination. But what I'm wondering is if you can do that with save games. Like if I know what the code is, the actual, code for the coat of arms I want, and I create a ruler using Ruler Designer. Again, this is mostly applicable to people like me who just don't care about Iron Man or achievements.
Yeah,
because
I was gonna say,
obviously it would invalidate Iron Man, but could you go into your save game and change your dynasty, just replace the code for their coat of arms with the code for the coat of arms that you created previously?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty sure.
So
For your save editing, right?
Oh, wait, here we go. Here's the comment from Princess Stabity on my video. Sadly, it's not currently possible to imitate the CK2 coat of arm designer with the functionality we have access to. Coat of arms are based on templates, and we have no way to dynamically write templates from within the game. The best I managed to do in my mod was total randomization, like the ruler designer will have, and copying designs from existing coats of arms.
I just know I'm going to end up having to click that randomize button about 10,000 times till I get something I'm happy with.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we all will.
Especially as it has the quartered pieces as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that looks terrible. Like the lion
does.
with the big white and black star over it.
It looks awful.
Well, unless, you're role-playing a character who doesn't know how to design a shield, and he's just like, oh, that looks cool.
Well, I'm going to roleplay various versions of Lambert. Like, if I'm German, it's going to be Lambrecht. And if I'm Italian, Lambertini. And, that's what I do when I make a ruler designer. And when I play CK2, like 95% of my games are using custom characters. And I want a white dragon on a red field. Like, that's my thing. I want that. And I'm going to hate myself, but I will probably click enough times to find it.
I also love that they're not doing what CK2 did, where adding positive traits made your age go up and adding negative traits made it go down.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So it's just, you have a point limit of 400 if you want to earn achievements. If you don't care about achievements, there is no limit. You can just make exactly the character you want.
Yeah.
That's very generous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
I mean, I imagine there will probably be achievements that are like using less than 50 character designer points.
Yeah.
Conquer the Roman Empire or something like that.
Count to Emperor as a simpleton.
Yeah, exactly. I
can also see a lot of starting as a Norse character in a place where there are no Norse characters do thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it opens up a lot of achievement possibilities, and I imagine that this is going to be fairly popular. I mean, the metrics we saw for EU4 recently said that like Custom Nation is still like the third most popular nation for starting a new game in EU4. I would think with the character-driven nature of CK3, it might even be more than that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Custom Ruler is the most popular way to play. I do
think that this might make the achievement where you have a character with 3 virtues. I think this might make that achievement quite trivial.
See, I commented the same thing in my video too. We had the same thoughts. Because
I've been trying to get for that achievement. It was on my mind.
Oh, see, I got it randomly. I mean, I wasn't even trying for it.
I'm gonna get it with a random coat of arms.
Well, no, I was playing one of the Indian religions, and the guy that inherited was the wrong religion. But the religion he technically had 3 virtues because one of them was wise man. And I got the achievement, and then I converted him to the proper religion. It's just like,
so what? I think the easiest way to do it will just be get all of the piety, change the religion so that what you are is virtuous.
Except there's no
Actually,
easy
be a
way.
lot more realistic as well. It's like, we're going to make a new religion, and all of the good things in it are things that I am. It's totally not corrupt at all.
Except you can't actually set virtues manually when creating a religion.
You can set what would be virtues based on the tenets, though. Like, certain tenets make certain things virtuous.
But it doesn't do that with all of them. Not all the traits are tied to those.
True.
Yeah, I'm predicting that as soon as this comes out, the entirety of the Crusader King subreddit is either going to be pictures of people who have made celebrities, or look at how fucked up I was able to make my character look. That's going to be... It's going to be an entire subreddit.
The dev diary that has all of the illnesses looks pretty gross.
Yeah, yes. I quite like that, though, because it means I can play a self-insert character, which is really, really interesting.
What?
God damn, that's dark.
Wow. What's interesting is the cost of the points. Because, I mean, it is extravagant to be able to give yourself highest education. It's 80 points. But it's going to be interesting, like, how much the skills cost.
Yeah.
And other traits, there's none there.
Well, like in the CK2 ruler designer, the cost for traits didn't really line up with what the community considered to be the strongest and weakest traits in the game, and I assume it'll probably be the same here.
Well, I think as I pointed out, or as I pointed out before, thought about, or whatever, if you wanted to have just a character that was a genius in CK2, they had to start at 46 years old because it added 30 years to your age.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to start with
wounded for -10.
Yeah, yeah. And you get the classic depressed and stressed like combo to get the age limit right down.
Yeah. Because with CK2, there were things that you could do, especially after Conclave came out, that you were pretty surefire ways of getting rid of traits that you didn't want. So you could just take whatever. Like I can't remember which ones it was now, but there was events that you knew you could force to fire to get rid of the trash.
Yeah. Chronic feasting is the cure for depression.
Yeah.
Hasn't worked for me in real life yet, but it works in Crusader Kings.
Chronic hunting was the way that you got rid of gluttony.
Yeah. Did they announce a release date? I don't think they did.
No, he said
year.
By the end of this year. So, sometime here in 2020, if this year
Christmas
ever ends.
present.
Okay, yeah. So, pretty excited.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna. I have a lot of campaign ideas.
Lambertini, Lambertopoulos.
Yeah, it's just been something that's just been missing from CK3. I mean, just having this connection back to a character you actually made yourself is something I've missed for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a role play game. I want to be able to design my character.
Exactly. We
did also get some images showing, as the work in progress. And you gotta love Duckett's sexuality here.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a valid thing. Yeah. So.
Though this skull raises questions.
I think we can all guess what that means. I don't think we need to talk about it.
But I mean, you can still choose to be a Duckett.
Yeah.
I think that's actually the earlier version of the randomize button.
Yeah, it is one of the randomized buttons.
But still,
Matt, the one who wrote the dev diary,
in the game. Why not? We have everything else.
Also, she's a real charmer.
Oh, and by the way, if in that screenshot we were just looking at, oh wow, yeah, that's
Frog Lady.
It's kind of scary. No,
this is going to be such a boon to you YouTubers. Think of the thumbnails you could generate.
Oh yeah.
These.
Oh, I've already done with this lovely lady. She looks beautiful.
You had Mr. Assassin's Creed on there as well.
Yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the screenshot before that we were looking at before with the sexualities. If they actually are going to color code the sexualities in the UI now, I would really appreciate that. Because that is a really small icon, and sometimes it is hard to tell what it is. With them all being kind of the same color. This man seems to be missing most of his face.
Yeah, that's Mr. Assassin's Creed. His name is Unity.
Yeah, just I'm very frightened by this. Yeah.
I like not only is he missing like most of his face, his eyelashes are like in his eyes.
Well, you got to blink, important.
It's like a windshield wiper. They just go back and forth. Because he doesn't have eyelids.
Yeah.
When we evolve beyond the need for eyelids, our eyelashes will just turn into windshield wipers. That's
it's actually just a back alley invisibility potion. From the dodgy alchemist.
Yeah.
One other interesting thing is we'll be able to make children.
Yeah,
we'll be able to make It's the same as in CK2 though. It's just I'm gonna add a child. Like you do that in CK2.
Can you actually design them now?
It doesn't look
No.
like you can design them here either.
Yeah, no, you can.
Oh,
They
okay.
said under
they-
children's traits. You can't give children's traits if you're not a child, let's say.
All right, yeah, but you could. Oh, you
Yeah.
can make yourself as a child, is what you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
no childhood
I thought you
traits
meant
on
you could make.
adults.
You can have a child in it, right? Yeah, no,
Oh,
I
yeah,
understand.
no. And then look
Were
at
you
where
not
the
able to-
slider is for 25 years.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, because in CK2, I think the max or the minimum was 16.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So you can make a 1-year-old giant, strong genius, I guess. Herculean. Yeah.
Rule
Looks
for
like the
longer.
max is going to be like 110, maybe, from the look of that slider.
Wouldn't surprise me though. I wonder, depending on their traits, they might just die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But,
then
I
the
mean,
more
what about if you made your really old character, just to make it achievement compatible, like having 110 years old, you're going to have a very low amount of points spent, but you give them all of the really good congenital traits, and then you give yourself a son. So yeah, your character's going to die immediately, but does the child that you pick, adding an extra child, will that kid have a chance of inheriting your godliness?
I don't
interesting
know. That's a good
idea.
question.
Be something to try.
Yeah. That is a good question. Yeah. Anything else about this weighty dev diary before we move on?
I'm
Well,
just
it's really
excited
good.
to see what will be the next dev diary. If this was all in this one.
My French character is going to be called Lambert.
I think something that is not very appreciated too, but I think it's worth noting is how well the how everything is laid out. It's very neat.
Yeah.
And it's just a lovely bit of clear UI.
I will
Yeah.
say as well, this is the biggest version of the portraits that we've got as well in the entire game. If you're not using the absolutely essential full screen portrait, a full screen barbershop mod from Agama Day, like this, for people who make videos on YouTube, this is great for thumbnails.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hello, we're being raided and attacked. Apparently they want to steal
Oh,
our roller
Viking.
designer.
It's Mordred. Hi, everybody.
Thank you very
Hope
much for
you're
the
all
raid, man.
enjoying Assassin's Creed. I haven't started it yet, but
I have
good
to
time for
decide whether
Viking
I'm gonna be
games.
annoyed by
I
it.
hear my father was playing it earlier today since he's off due to the holiday. And he's
Uh-huh.
saying that the controls feel like it's built for a controller, not a PC, and he was having some trouble with it.
I mean, that's every Assassin's Creed game. I've played every Assassin's Creed game on PC with a controller.
He didn't
I would
complain
not
that
recommend
way.
playing it with a mouse and keyboard.
He didn't complain about that way for the Greek one. Was that
Hmm.
Odyssey?
Odyssey, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think third-person action games are like universally better with a controller.
The pronunciation of Norwegian names in that game is the absolute worst, says Mena.
Oh, that's disappointing. I would have hoped that they would have put a little bit more effort into that, but
My big issue with Assassin's Creed has always been the futuristic thing. It's like Assassin's Creed to me is like an 8 out of 10 concept that with a single feature, the Animus futuristic thing that brings the entire series down to a 2 out of 10. And I can't. It pisses me off every single time. I played through Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and I'm there floating around. I'm a pirate. I'm immersed in the game. I am a pirate. I go to steal a ship, and it brings me into this future trash
which
I
was
give no shits about. It's the worst kind of immersion death because the game is literally reminding you, oh yeah, you're not actually a pirate. You're this dude. You don't care about him. No one cares about him, but you're him.
Also,
Hate it.
Black Flag had by far the worst modern day segments of any.
Oh,
Like,
right.
it was literally just like you're an employee at a game company. You're like walking around stealing Post-it notes. It's like, at least in the Ezio games, when you went back to the present as Desmond, there was like this conspiracy and shit going on, and you were like kind of a cool dude who was like exploring caves and things like that.
I really don't care about the future stuff in it. Like, it's funny because
That's always killed me
I was what, like 15 when the first game came out, and I remember I used to read PC Gamer and Xbox 360 magazine all the time, and the future trash was not hinted at until it was a leak real close to release. They fucking hid that shit because they knew it was going to be really controversial because it's crap. I was so disappointed when the first time it brought me into the future. I'm like, fuck this. It's so bad. It's so bad. It ruins the series.
It killed the interest for me. But what I will say is, like, although I don't like the Assassin's Creed, and that's a major part of the reason the 2D stuff that they released is actually very, very good in my opinion. The 2D platformer ones, I don't know if you ever played those.
I haven't played any of those, no.
They're fun little platformers. They're like arcadey little platformers. And you know what? They're a good little laugh. They're actually pretty good.
Mordred Viking saying in chat, sorry to say the Animus break in Valhalla is the worst. Massive build up to a major event and then Animus. I'm not playing it then.
Yeah.
I am really into Norse culture and Vikings and all this. I really enjoy it. But that is going to make it, like, if I streamed Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I would be banned off Twitch.
Yeah, I'm probably going to stream it at some point. So if you want to watch me play it and then yell, and not get banned.
Yell obscenities at the screen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's such a good concept ruined by one thing. I can't think of a single feature in any game that completely trashes the entire game as hard as that does. So bad.
Not even mana?
No, absolutely not.
Really?
If I hated mana as much as I hated the Animus system, I wouldn't play EU4. I wouldn't have 5,000 hours in it.
Oh, well, then it's a good thing that you have 5,000 hours because we got to talk about some EU4 now.
Yay.
Yeah. So it looks like maybe Groogie took to heart the comments from us and others that if you're bothering to redo Zoroastrianism and Sikhism, which are religions that almost nobody ever sees, let alone plays, but you're doing this big North America update, why aren't you updating totemism instead? So they are updating totemism, bringing a little bit of Imperator into it, actually, where you can take previous rulers and turn them into honored ancestors, where you will gain sort of a lesser version of whatever their ruler personality bonus was, which makes me wonder if you need was it Rights of Man to use this feature, because ruler personalities were a DLC feature. But
I noticed they didn't take in my suggestion of having a full screen Civ 3 style palace building system where you make your own totem.
I know. I'm disappointed by that too. I want to build my own totem.
Although those squares look suspiciously dev-like, so maybe we will. Maybe that will be a full screen totem, and it's just a button right now.
Except this is how they're gonna go.
It's not the most exciting religion mechanic I've ever seen, but I'm glad that totemism is getting something. It's better than them not having any unique mechanics.
I think you could say that about all religions in EU4. You got one little interesting mechanic that adds flavor to the whole experience, right? It's just a little bit of spice along with the rest of the game, which is true of all the religions. I think.
You can't just continually make every new religion that you work on better. Otherwise, you got feature bloat, and that's not good. That's really bad for a game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are some that are obviously more favoritized than others. I mean, Christianity and Islam get a lot of extra stuff in general. That with the schools for the Muslim world, all the Reformation stuff for Christians.
I'd say less for the schools and more for the difference between being you've got your slider as a Muslim between like really pious and not pious, and then when you get to the end you get to click the button and lose to corruption. That's the biggest thing for Muslims. I don't generally use the schools at all I don't like spending mana.
Well, you get for one school that's your favorite, and then you can tend to stick with it for most of the game, right?
Still like 50 mana
Right.
every 10 years.
Yeah.
I was thinking more along the lines of the fact that the schools have like relationships with one another and can sort of. I don't think it really creates conflict as much as maybe they hoped it would. But,
Yeah, I've never interacted with that system in my life.
having.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
Yeah, like a diplomatic meta layer that is like tied to your religion. Obviously, the Reformation being the biggest example of that, where the religious issues caused the entire continent to catch on fire.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of other religions that have anything that impactful tied.
Yeah,
to
which
them,
is
so.
which is fair enough, I reckon.
Yeah.
I
None
think
of the other religions had a nuclear event that high.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and the other ones like adds a little bit of flavor to areas. You know, Confucianism obviously blends very, very well with the Chinese mechanics. Shintoism makes Japan a lot more interesting with isolation.
Oh yeah, Shinto is top tier as well as far as religions. Just because it unlocks all that isolationism versus free trade stuff. So
yeah, I think there's also everyone has their favorite level of isolationism, which they stick with normally.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice. It doesn't have to be huge. Just a little bit of spice. I enjoy that.
Yeah, as long as it's way better than just having flat bonuses and nothing you can interact with.
100%.
Yeah.
I
still think the best interactability ones are Hindu and Norse. Those are the ones I find the most fun.
I find Confucianism most fun still.
I do like Confucianism. Yeah, I like the whole meritocracy thing.
Yeah, meritocracy mechanics, and also the just for harmonizing and just like slowly integrating other religions and harmonizing with them. Really nice.
Yeah. Yep. That's a fun one. I don't think there was really anything else that was that impactful here. Oh, we got to see some of the guru bonuses for Sikhism, which we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seem fairly straightforward for the most part. I didn't see anything that was like really crazy.
There was nothing in there that you would put into the category of being an overhaul. Unlike another dev diary that we had today, which, or not today, but we're going to talk about today, which is the Stellaris dev diary, where I think definitely this could be classed as an overhaul.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how to feel about it, this one. But I think this is one of those things I'll have to play in-game to try it out, and then decide how I feel about it. Because instinctively, I'm very attached to the idea of having artisan planets and
metallurgists,
and alloy planets, metallurgists, and really specializing those planets, and also making an empire that is going to make a load of artisan goods. I quite like the idea of that.
I think you could still technically do this.
Yeah.
I guess the upshot here is they're adding a new district type that basically gives you artisans and metallurgists, so you can make consumer goods and alloys from the district level now, which means they're also changing how building slots work.
There's less building slots.
I kind of like the idea that instead of building 50 alloy foundries, maybe I'll just build up my industrial districts and then I'll make some buildings and upgrade some buildings that increase the alloy output of those districts.
Yeah.
That seems like a lot less of a pain in the butt way to do it.
I actually like it, especially when you come to multiplayer, because that was one thing during the event 2 weeks ago, is just, you want to get your alloys up, you want to get your consumer goods up to keep your nation stable, your empire stable, but you're microing and, choosing which buildings to build where, and it's just much easier if you're just building a district, and Rosebud agrees.
Yeah. So Rosebud has spoken,
One thing I really do very much appreciate is the ability to future plan your cities. So now you can basically uncolonize world and really invest heavily and then forget about it for a little while. Whereas before it seemed to be a sort of game of whack-a-mole, I guess. If you have if you micromanage your cities, which everyone does, but you whack-a-moling basically as your districts expand. Oh, I can build a new building. I can build a new building. Now you can just go, right, build a load of buildings, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Although
it's
I am
interesting-
a little worried about that as well, because wasn't one of the big problems with late game slowdown in Stellaris unemployed pops or buildings with no people to work in them? It was one of those things, and hopefully this isn't going to lead to a lot of empty jobs, always searching for pops to fill them. I really hope that's not going to be the case.
I don't know. It will be nice, though, that the industrial districts, well, because that's also something that will help, though, is if you were making a planet that was all alloys, you had to build a lot of city districts to house the people. And every time you built a city district, you got clerk jobs as well.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
made more jobs. The industrial district starts off with 2 housing and 2 jobs.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I would feel it would make
really
it better.
like the change. I will say as well, if you like specializing planets, I don't see this as being against that, because the way I think of specializing planets, you might have an agri-world where everything is food, and I'm thinking of like different sci-fi universes where, you have an agricultural planet feeding a big empire. I don't think I've seen a single example of one of those kinds of agricultural worlds or another specialized world have nothing but that on it. Like, there's always something else. Like, there's an administrative office there, perhaps. Or, maybe the farmers want to go pray in a temple, something like that. So you can still specialize heavily, but having like 1 or 2 buildings that can be something else, I'm totally cool with.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think in a lot of ways it is going to increase the choice, because it almost feels more like now your building slots are almost like a talent tree sort of for the planet, because you're not just spamming stuff because, I'm out of alloys. I need to just build alloy foundries on every available spot on every planet that I have open right now. Or whatever, something like that. The idea that it's just like, if I want more alloys on this planet, I will give up 1 building slot to an upgradable structure that increases my alloy production from my factory districts. Like, I think that's going to be a lot more fun to play.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this. This looks like a good change.
Yeah, definitely.
The only change I feel that absolutely has to be done to Stellaris now is the necrophage origin needs to start on a tomb world. Because let's be honest, they're undead. It's a tomb world. Come on now.
Yeah, I'll just add like a separate origin for them,
Come on.
Undead with tomb worlds or undead without tomb world.
Yeah.
It's silly, it's strange, it's odd, and it's not good. Tomb world me.
Yeah.
Have any of you guys made it to the end game with the Necroids patch yet? I'm curious what people are seeing performance wise.
I haven't.
No.
So I still haven't made it very far yet with my I keep just making new. What I always do, I just keep making empires and playing them for like 20 years.
You play
honestly,
them. I make empires and just don't play them. Just write a very long bio and then play it for 2 seconds and then make
Yeah.
I mean, with Stellaris, it kind of has the same feel to me as like Civ. The most fun parts are the beginning up to about the middle.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of like, okay, let's go make a new game.
Yeah.
Yeah. At a certain point, I have so many planets, and like the wars are like taking place over such a wide expanse of galaxy that it's just like, the micromanagement that would be required to continue this is kind of absurd. But yeah.
Well, up until now, obviously, I don't know what the late game is like performance-wise. It's like things like the War in Heaven, they sound really fun to take part in, but anytime I've gotten to that point, the late game lag has hit like an absolute truck, and what could be really fun in the late game just isn't.
Takes
because
forever.
of the lag. Yeah, and especially because I do like me mods. It compounds the issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's all the news we had to discuss this week. Rose, what have you been up to, and where can people find your stuff?
I am on Twitch maybe twice a month now outside of NoCB Cast here at Animatic Rose. YouTube videos as well. Same Enigmatic Rose 4. Working on an achievement video for CK3 at the moment when the Rosebud lets me. he started crawling. And yeah.
Oh, that's bad news. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
'cause
I recall these times.
We haven't moved yet, so the apartment is as baby safe as we can make it, but any long-term baby safe solutions aren't really worth it since we're moving in hopefully about a month.
You're now officially over your administrative cap for
Yes, we
child
are.
supervision.
So it's basically keeping eyeballs on him at all times.
Yeah, learn to crawl plus 200% administration required for all child pops. Yeah,
He's also
It doesn't
eating
get
solids.
easier. It gets worse.
Have you ever seen the mess? Well, I'm sure Lambert has. The mess a child makes when you're doing baby-led weaning.
What we've got at the moment is wooden train tracks across like half the house. Like the square footage of the house is it's fairly nice. Most of it's train. Yeah.
Like
yeah,
Hornby train sets. I used to love those.
Oh,
as a
no,
kid.
no,
Do
not
they
the
still
Hornby
make them?
ones. It's like the wooden ones with the little grooves for tracks.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I know those. Yeah, yeah. I
Brio,
used to
that's
have
the
those.
one. Yeah, Brio.
Yeah,
I got so much bloody Brio
Like
train in this
Thomas
house
the
right
Train.
now. Oh, he
Thomas the
loves
Tank
Thomas.
Engine or whatever.
He just loves trains. Like, I like trains.
Your kid
You know
has
that
got
Tom Scott
fantastic
song?
taste.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Trains
very
are
good
amazing.
taste.
Very good
Trains are
taste.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Logan loves trains.
Yeah.
Is there any like steam fairs around where you are?
No, but there is a train that goes through town, and he absolutely loves every time that I hate that we get caught behind it. It's like, damn it, the bloody train! And he's like, train! It's like, yay, train! I'm stuck here.
Well, other than getting stuck behind trains, what have you been up to, Lambert, and where can people find you?
I am on YouTube and Twitch as Lord Lambert, and I've been streaming quite a lot recently, like 4 days a week or something like that. I'm doing quite a lot of CK3, doing quite a lot of Stellaris as well, and yeah, it's just been pretty good for me on Twitch recently. So that's where I'm at, doing some stuff. Should check it out.
Nice. Loris, what have you been up to? And is the great Welsh book famine still ongoing?
No, it's just stopped. But it has not impacted me very well. So I've just been doing some treating myself. I've just been relaxing and trying to chill out because lockdown does not suit me whatsoever. I'm a very social animal. I don't like it. Makes me very sad all the time. So just been chilling out and trying to cheer up a little bit. Do some exercise. Went down to the pub. Exercising social muscles again. It's nice. I'm in a lot better mood anyway.
Well, I am on twitch.tv/loresworn order. I think we're going to be finishing Layers of Fear 2 that we actually started on Halloween and then we took last week off. So we've still got 2 out of 5 chapters of that to do. But then there's been significant interest there and on Twitter in seeing me play through Assassin's Creed Valhalla and criticizing all the ways that they got Vikings wrong, which I am more than willing and fairly capable of doing. I mean, we'll have a fun time regardless. It's not like I'm just going to play the game just to nitpick it, but
I did watch the trailer. And the first thing that came to mind was that's way more fur than is really necessary.
Yeah. Problem with like big flowing cloaks in battle or like anything that's just loose is it can get caught on something.
Yeah.
An opponent can grab it. It can snag on your weapon, on a friend's weapon, on an enemy's weapon.
Just
as ridiculous
take
to
the
me as the
advice
horned
from
helmets.
Take the advice from that design stylist in The Incredibles. No capes.
No capes.
Lead into it.
Cloaks.
Everyone knows
Yes.
historically
Capes, no.
Vikings were furries.
I mean, the Berserkers were arguably furries.
They went into battle
so-
in full fursuits.
Yeah, Ulfhednar. Yeah, they had the big like Hanna-Barbera cartoon eyes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Strike fear into their enemies.
All these
Yeah,
random
exactly.
patches of leather that just like, you know what, the show Vikings. Screw that show. It's ruined Vikings.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to see what an actual Viking warrior would have dressed like I can show you some pictures. It's pretty boring.
Yeah, it's like a chainmail
it doesn't-
hauberk. Wears a chain
doesn't
hauberk
look-
and a helmet.
Yeah. With like a
Dana.
steel nasal helm. Yeah, like there was nothing ostentatious or like particularly evocative. It was very practical.
And then, but then when they take the helmet off and they've got like the best hair in all of Europe, but they don't get that bit either. They're like, oh, he's got to have matted, greasy, dirty hair because Viking. No,
No,
Anglo-Saxon women were leaving their men to go and be with Vikings because they were
Yeah,
Look,
fucking sex gods of the Middle Ages.
It's the three P's of being a Viking are pillage, plunder, and preening. I've said this before. So yeah, they were very meticulous about hygiene, at least more so than a lot of other Europeans were at the time.
The most beautiful bloodthirsters of the age.
Yeah. So, you can find the podcast We're NoCB on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Stitcher. We actually have a link tree now, which we're posting in the chat, where you can find links to all of that in one place.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
pretty handy.
And Rosebud
Super
says,
convenient.
Yeah,
subscribe. Yes.
hit the bell if you're on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah.
Share.
Push that
our
bell.
Podcast.
Post
brothers.
a lot of comments that include words like "wow" and "oh my god."
Wow.
You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Apparently,
like
this-
links to like dodgy websites, like freemoney.ru or something.
I love freemoney.ru. I just went and downloaded a bunch of free money this morning. It's great.
Freemoney.exe. Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys back here next week.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.